that new tool is just the fact that you do tend to fall slow in certain areas, especially when you're talking about players taking higher elevations to be able to shoot you down. And we saw it yesterday in Tego, right? With a few teams using this version pickup just getting shredded out of the skies. And so there is that inherent risk. But again, if you do see the opportunity, if you do get circles, as you were saying, you get fed. That can absolutely win you games. If not win you games, just get you a disgusting amount of points.
Mas não tinha ninguém lá que eu tô no squad ali. Eu fiquei jogando só over squad.
Hot drops in yesterday's game showed a lot of commotion on early rotations, despite the first circles actually not being all that
Eu também fiquei um tempo e ninguém
close goes to show, and it goes to prove that teams know what's on the line here. They do want to avoid that losers bracket if they can. They know how much more chaotic it gets down there, and they just want to punch the ticket as fast as possible.
Well, you also just give yourself a second chance at winners because you do have the, I mean, you have the safety net of if you don't do well in the winners bracket, hey, you at least get one more shot in losers. If you go straight from the bottom 8 here, that's it. Your one shot is that losers bracket, and you're done after that. So that cushion is very important. Plus, it's just more games, right? Even if you do go to winners and you don't do that well, you're still getting a lot of experience with these teams, and that's going to be pay dividends later in the tournament, especially if you can make it in the grand finals.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Game PT on our screens here. One of the teams coming out from the eastern side. One of the teams out of Korea that I'm not gonna lie, I haven't had the biggest expectations for coming into it, and so far they haven't really impressed either. Having said that, they did have some decent moments during some of their first gameplay. It's small things, but you know, a good rotation there, a good fight here. If they can somehow convert those things into taking place during the same game, I feel like the global stages in Pubg as a whole is just a proving ground for teams that have maybe not performed regionally to go out and say, don't you think twice, like don't take us for granted. We can still pack a punch. I mean, they qualified here equal terms with everyone else. So I'm hoping to see both Friendly Fire and Game BT, DDT, some of these teams down in the bottom of the leaderboard currently be able to get through to that winners bracket.
And even speaking of a team like Friendly Fire, right, having the ridiculous surge in the last couple days in order to qualify.
I mean,
they started off the
falou, o Spark não quis falar na live dele pra não dar ibope. Eu não sei como é que ele colocou isso aqui, mas na live da HBZ tem. Na live de
especially when I look at their game from not El Azahar, but I believe it was somewhere around that area. They staved off multiple crashes, right? Excuse me, it was in Cruz on the north side of that. Yeah, so they were able to do that in game 1 and game 2, but then game 3 and 4 they were really just kind of getting shredded in their rotations.
It is kind of interesting how we have 3 teams coming into today. Day ones we're talking Genji, we're talking Danawa, and we're talking Friendly Fire. All of them.
No clipe ele puxava pra cabeça do boneco.
Kick things off, but just could not get the ball rolling despite having a good start to the day. So curious to see if any of them, for starters, gets a good first game, but also if they do they manage to keep that momentum going? 4am as well, a team who had a phenomenal day, a phenomenal first match on Miramar, but then just could not get it going. Yes, they get 34 points total, but almost half of that, if not even more, came off of that first match. So some big names here that has some performances, because it is day 1 of a global, but still have to figure some things out.
And I will say, after talking to Friendly Fire as well, I mean, they know that they need to have a fairly big day here, but the one thing that they're always very good at, whether it's regionally or even, you know, we've seen a lot of those players internationally, is the fact that they are very good in chaos, right? They thrive in that chaos, so this will be the opportunity for them to punch forward.
It's baby steps here in the start of the game, but good beginning for Friendly Fire. Roth peeks on over, catches that DDT is in a split, gets the knock on 1, and forces Emopig to go, Emopig's teammate to go over and rest him on that west side combat, allowing Friendly Fire to wrap on through. Nice, quick, clean pickup, allowing not only info on what team is nearby you, also seeing great, they were 2-way in a split, now they're probably going to be more, and this is going to allow Friendly Fire to wrap around the other way. So smart, small play, but still, now they have a foot in a circle where they had literally 0 info on just moments ago.
They generally do have these really good macro decisions, right? Roth has been very good. He's generally a very calm in-game leader until things start to break out. But even then, you know, he never really loses sight of things. And now, obviously, with Paige, with Pixel on the team, and being with Sharp, who's been playing with for so long, I feel like this is a roster that can absolutely make this work as long as they can just gel it together here on the international level, which all of these players have international experience.
And that's where it's so interesting, right? You have all these players with, let's just say, plenty of
campeão. Agora tem organização da Arábia, se não me engano, né?
and force players into the same box for 2 weeks. And you know what? Even though they might seem the best of friends online, it can work against them. So this global stage of any
Acho que é, tem que eles têm organização
such a
agora.
test
Agora eles não são mais pouca coisa, não.
fortitude and fatigue are summoned for all of these players.
It can make or break teams sometimes.
Definitely.
It's not passando, né?
Absolutely dominates regionally, that just struggles and struggles when it comes to the international level. So it happens, but ultimately this is the proving ground, right? This is where we have to go. And looking at the circle now, all the teams at this point, Toby, have pretty much.
Mas o Pubg é fraco isso aqui, né? Os outros países eu tô ligado que ele é forte.
Forte assim, do jeito que ele mostrou, tá ligado? Eles não tinha 5 milhões na live, tá ligado? Milhões.
O Pubg se acabar, eles podem tirar o server daqui só, mas não acontece isso. Mas em outro lugar, algum outro lugar ele vai poder jogar ele assim.
Much gotten into the circle where they want and are just waiting for this next shift, which there is a lot of commotion in the south, specifically around Power Grid.
Yeah, everyone has made their way in, and one of the main reasons for teams not being able to split wider is if you look at the map out there, dear viewers, look at how much control Daytrade has in the center. They didn't have to fight for San Martin, and they've actually left San Martin as a whole, but they have Plane Crash, they have the east side, see where Belmont is set, and then all the way over towards the west on the intersection,
Eu já ia pra plataforma deles já.
control for Daytrade here right down the middle, which means no one else is really that or needed to move further. But now, looking at Daytrade in particular, they have to consider grouping up. I know it's only phase 2, but there are only so many areas you can play with this second circle popping.
And I'm glad to see Puchu's actually getting in his vehicle, already getting ready to consolidate, because as you say, especially with this shift when it's so central on their position, it's not feasible for them to hold that split. And so looking at Emo Pig, though, right now, he's going to be encroaching right on the position here at 4 a.m., which they do love Hacienda and the areas around it. But yeah, Emo Pig's going to think twice of it. He's going to back off, and again, they need to rotate in.
I mean, 4 a.m. took casualties in their early games in this exact area of the map when they were here 2 days ago, so makes pretty good sense that they want to get out of Dutch and fortify the position once more. No reason for them to take more catches, and they know the areas in front of them are free too. And here comes 17, another Chinese team, another heavy-hitting team, making their approach on San Martin. Probably just going to sit here for a little while and scout further forward.
Yeah, just above them in that antenna area is Daytrade. As we said, they did consolidate in a very strong position as well to hold over. But look at this now. We have Danawa pushing the team of Theraton 5, and the first shots are going to come out. Loki wants to get the knock, but no, 2 members already down for Danawa.
Make that 3 as the Nonix are taken out as well. Theraton 5 have not had the best start to this tournament, but here they are showing up. Soul, though, with the Soul now, finds one in return, but he is the sole player left alive on the team. You see FaZe Clan lingering as sharks in the water, trying to maneuver their way around. They've heard the commotion, they want a piece of the pie, but Soul has to make things happen fast because his teammates are falling by the second. Finds one as Pattern Bomb goes down.
And just like that, he's even this out for the most part. If he can just find one more, but Theraton 5 will not only wipe out Danawa, but they will be able to recover. No, they won't actually phase this right on the way. Very smart.
Plenty of knocks on both sides, and FaZe, though, that is a feast, an open buffet, just waiting for them to come say hi. Thanatot have not had a chance to rest anyone, so 3 knock players, 3 potential kills for FaZe to come through here. Ghost up with an 8 finds the first. We'll see if the pull-up here is going to get more. We know that these buildings are hard to push, but more and more players from Theraton 5 are falling as we speak.
Those nades were amazing for dispatching the down members there at Theraton 5. It's just FaZe Clan. They know there's only 1 member left potentially with 1 knock here. A beautiful play. Again, reading that fight, third-partying at the perfect time.
FaZe are incredibly good at these up-close fights. We'll see if they manage to make things happen here. Yes, they sure do. They get all the knocks as well. Had they just gotten Thanatot up on the top, that would have been all those kills going to Danawa. So very smart that they managed to clean sweep through the downstairs, get those extra points, and now Thanatot all on his own.
Tá vendo aqui, ó? Tá tendo uma treta aqui e uma treta aqui embaixo já, tá ligado? Os caras mostram as tretas, mano.
In the pip down below, you can see Gen G and Sonic's fight as well. That's a fight we'll hop to in just a moment. Let's see here, though, if they can somehow get out of here alive, but it does not look easy for him. And for FaZe as well, how much are you willing to push? It's a one staircase upstairs. There could be a shotgun waiting for you. It is a dangerous and potentially unnecessary play.
That's always the risk, especially when you're pushing these specific two stories here, because there's only one way up. It's just that single staircase, on top of the fact that there's smokes around, but Fex is aware, and he will have the sawed-off in his hands.
Good thing for them.
Dangerous.
They got all the 3 flushes. They know it's a solo. Yes. They only found 2 and still look for the other. Could have been 2 players upstairs. Not gonna happen. I like the idea. He heard them come up, try and see if he can get an off angle. Not gonna happen though. FaZe, clean sweep and take all the points out of the hands of Danawa, who go down with nothing.
On top of that, they have now one of the best positions here on the map on the north side. So FaZe looking very well, or very good here in their start to the first game.
Insane as well how fast things went wild.
Eu botei na live do Spark se ele achava na opinião dele que tinha lugar pro ZK aqui aqui. Ele decidiu responder.
That's what Mirror Market do to you sometimes. You saw casualties come through in the fight between Gen G and Sonics, but it was H-Win who fell. So we'll see what they can make happen as both Sabem and Cerberus, they've been running side by side this entire game so far, but who comes out on top? Oh, Hayasaki, that is not the place you want to crash here.
O ZK aqui tinha vaga naquele time, né?
Stuck in quicksand.
Yep.
He's going to be a flash will take down Hayasaki. And this circle is very interesting, mainly because it's just a big plateau in the middle. It's almost like King of the Hill with an approach.
No time da Nate.
On every single side.
Exactly, but so hard to play the hillside that you can't use it at all.
Eu sei.
Now because all the good positions surrounding the hill are still in play. In the meantime now, Arena coming up to say hello to 17 Gaming. No casualties on either side just yet, but you can see here 17 do not seem like they want to share this area.
Se os caras quiserem, os caras davam a mão pra ele.
Sitting pretty safe in this position, at least for now.
Yeah, the fact that Arena actually got around on this rotation and was able to kind of backfill here on 17 is pretty impressive. They are one member short as he's still behind, but at the very least they're alive right now. But this push is absolutely going to be coming from 17 Gaming as we move back over here to Sarvim actually, as they are fighting Cerberus.
Yeah, it's not fun to be looking straight up to Cerberus. The good thing for Sarvim, despite them having 2 players knocked, is that Daytrade is defending them over the top. So maybe these reses will be being lopped on from down below. We're seeing fights on multiple fronts here. Again, this circle was going to be very hard to play, and because we didn't have any casualties early, these fights were bound to happen.
53 players alive in this circle specifically. Again, that King of the Hill Plateau and Daytrade, the ones that are taking the advantage out of all of this, getting that circle, they are very happy about this. All the other teams fighting around them may not be able to get as many kills as they want, but at the very least they're safe for now. And look at this, Sarvim still somehow surviving in this bowl.
Exactly, huge reset for them to be able to pull through. They heard the shots over the top of their head come through, and they are able to stay alive because of it. Gen G, a little bit of commotion we saw. I think it was Pio running over Taemin when they appeared up on the compound, and now things are working very much against them. Question mark find kills, but you can see once again Cerberus out there getting impact on fights they have nothing to do with.
Cerberus, that's actually been their MO this event so far, having an incredible day one. As I'm pretty sure we're here.
I'm hearing motors. I'm hearing motors coming in.
Somewhere in the distance, and it's going to be Pio going down. So only 2 members left for Gen G as they sit on the northwest side of the circle. Or actually, they're more dead center.
EJ got rest by DG. Now he can return the favor. As you can see here, there's just nowhere for Gen G to go in this one. Circle, hard shift towards the north, a tricky one to play. And all these teams down in and around San Martin will have to somehow make their way north. The plateau is half of it, the other half an open, dead road.
No, and on top of that, there's going to be so many teams already trying to rotate in, specifically from the south. FaZe has so much control, and they can see everything happening in that circle, using that road. And I love that they've left Corexi on the top side of it as well. He's going to be an amazing overwatch for them, as this fight between 17 and Arena is still going on.
It had to happen eventually, and now it does as all these the circle shifts up towards the north. Xiaobei has been sneaking his way forward for a while, but the shots come through. He doesn't connect any of them. Now, finally, able to find a headshot, but plenty of damage done in return. Little Ghost wants to come in and have an impact. Xiao Wu needs to cover over the top, needs to help his teammate out. They're trying to wait at least for Xiaobei to get the heal on up, and it will happen. Little goes peeks on in, gets one. Huge play coming through, but Larry's instantly there responds.
Larry's wants to get that fledge. Zizzy now coming on the backside of this from behind. Xiaobei, oh, they almost lined up there. That could have been a team bot. Nice trigger discipline though, as Zhao Wu will take out Larix. One member left alive. Zizzy, can he do something
He's too
here?
far away. He was the off angle. He tried to wrap around, tried to be able to backstab. We've seen it work for teams in the past, but Zizzy just too far off and too disconnected from the rest of his team. And because of that, 17 will live to write home about it. They do lose 2. Lil goes and Sushu down early, but we know both Xiaobei and Xiao Wu, they are dangerous, dangerous players. So do not count them out just because they've taken casualties.
The problem for them now becomes Day Trade as well as DD Team.
Yeah.
Right. If they even do get rid of Zizzy, if he doesn't get a nice little cheeky backstab on them, they're going to have to move up to a position that's very much occupied by not 1 but 2 teams.
So he knows it's a he knows it's a gun game anyway. Might as well try and see what you can salvage. Xiao Wu knocked, should get flushed as well, depending on how much Zizzy dares to peek over. But I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd knock on Xiao Wu, so down low. But he tries to crawl for info, and there he falls. Zizzy, he's losing his teammate, but again, salvage as best as you can. 4 points on the board for them here.
And as a solo, I mean, he might be able to find a spot somewhere to sneak in. But as you see, DD Team, they are aware of this fight happening just underneath them, as is Day Trade, but they're not going to move, so that's going to be a very difficult road for I should say. As Falcons also have a nice position here, kind of gatekeeping the rest of the southeast.
I acredito que logo depois eu fui lá e matei o Sank, o amigo dele.
Were just before, but they have backed off. They've technically allowed Sonics into the circle. You can go, why would you do that? Because if they were sat there and Sonics push up and they force that fight with them, that's Sabe peeking over, that's Day Trade peeking over, that's multiple teams engaging, and they go, you know what? We'll give them this mediocre spot, move further.
Eu falei que eu joguei com o
We have the third party potential over the teams that would have third partied us the other way around.
And the fight is more likely to happen between Sonics and Cyber. So yeah, that's
Eu falei que eu joguei com o Example esses dias,
as they now take a little bit more of that plateau. Circle is about to shift, and it is going to go into a very difficult area. The center of that is basically a bowl in that road, so
if there's anything opposite to a city, this is it. Yeah. There's literally 3 buildings inside phase 5. It's not something you see too often, but it's going to be a good test for these players to see what they're going to do with.
Granted, there's a pretty decent
Eu outro no arcade também matei uns 3 caras, do mesmo jeito que eles matam, cara. Sabia atirando, sabia que o cara tava lá, eu disse, eu vou abrir atirando, se o cara não tiver, tá, mas se ele tiver, deu. Tipo, eu vi o cara escondeu, né? Aí eu disse, eu vou abrir atirando, cara, 4 vezes eu matei os caras, tinha abrir atirando. E pode ver que os próprios fazem isso também, eles atiram, eles abrem atirando e às vezes o inimigo nem tá ali.
That's the trick, isn't it? How do you take this fight without getting third party? And you see Duckmire there just kind of setting up for this. They hear the nades going off. Win now making the approach there. Global Armory with utility being traded. Tiggleton gonna go for the spray. He doesn't find the knock though, and now in a bad position.
Every single like shots being fired that they don't get knocks on. It's just another chance for Tygon to peek on forward. Tiggleton now finds one in return.
Ela tinha que ter uma jogada hoje, velho. Puta que pariu, jogou demais.
Ele fez a jogada, por isso que tem um vídeo dele. Tem um vídeo
Eu nem olhei mais cara.
É, mas a entrevista não vi, só vi lá que parece que é uma entrevista, mas é um monte de jogada
também. Teve uma jogada também que o cara com o morteiro matou 2 no com. Aí ele queria a pedra dos caras que ele tinha matado. Aí, só que tem um amigo do cara que tá um pouco distante, cara, tipo não tá perto, mais distante. Mas lá tinha um knockout ainda. Aí vem o time no carro, aquele jeito de dropa lá. O cara que tá de longe joga um HE, mata esse cara. Dá um repique e pega o ult. Que para o jogada bonita, né? Esse cara é muito bom, né?
Limited to no damage done to them throughout the entire game. They're going to be on one, especially if these circles keep going in that direction.
I mean, look at one of the helmets there from Day Trade. I mean, they're basically broken at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Do get a nice little pull up, but they are going to be sandwiched between 4am potentially and mainly Day Trade coming in from that south position. Meanwhile, Page from Friendly Fire will be taking shots here at question mark as they try to make their approach up that hill, but it is not possible, especially with this angle.
I think Besselog is very happy that Page had to reload there because there was still a solid 50 meters yet of that sprint in the open. And just as I say that, there comes the shot stolen. Him as peeks on over, gets the flush and one knock on the other. Dance is all
E uma coisa que não impressiona até hoje foi o Codizer. Ele sabe o botão, o SW dele. A gente usa 3 dedos geralmente, né? O code dele usa só um dedo, só 2 dedos. É fora do comum de mexendo no teclado. Aí outro bagulho que eu vi os caras falando dele é que ele não pisca, quando ele pisca só um olho por vez. Tipo no automático, sabe? Olha os 2 dedos dos caras.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, the fact that they have 4 players alive. They haven't had to fight. These nades now starting to come down and devastate day trade. As there's 2 members knocked in. Beautiful! Silson and Capitan will come and finish that off. Lou at least getting his 1 point for Puchus.
Lining it up as best as they could. The thing is, for Falcons, they ain't in yet. They need to try and commit to that check. They have a car down below, and they have Capitan still sat far down towards the southeast. Question mark will fall as well as Cerberus. So multiple teams taken out here as we get a great... Actually, no, take that back. Tygon is still creeping his way forward, but I feel like his days are kind of counted.
Yeah, now Falcons, the onus is on them. They need to make this push into 4 a.m. As we also see FaZe with so much vision on this, but this might actually cut them out as well. They will be able to play somewhat of the hill to their north, but now Sharp Shot grabbing Spike as he is now wrapping the way of 4 a.m.
You know what? I mean, if...
Mas é igual o Tech lá. O Tech agora o Pubg começou a usar que nem nós, assim, desligar o botão do mouse.
That's something you see too often. People doing 360s and tail whips with their bikes in a firefight of this caliber. But now back to the Falcons we were talking about just before. Where do they rotate? They have Capitan as the anchor on the eastern side. They gotta play the east.
Yeah, they're gonna go back to the east. There's no real reason for them to push right now, especially not especially because Capitan isn't gonna be able to help at all.
Do they hunker down behind? I mean, they're still in on the road side. The thing is, Game PT, I mean, I think they're very happy right now that Game PT isn't being more aggressive.
Yes.
They should be up there, almost like over-peaking to get knocks on people, to pressure some of those fights, because no one on this southwest side can spend time focusing Game PT, because they know their opponents.
O Pubg diz que é muito melhor fazer isso, usando o botão do mouse. Mas eu não consigo.
You rest, you crawl back down, and you rest your teammates up again.
Especially because they have Hush kind of keeping tabs on FaZe, right? So why not do that? And this is something we actually talked about. Game PT is just, they're very passive.
Got it there, man. You gotta go out and want to claim it. It's gonna be brought home. Aegis, pure shots missed there. Somehow Sharp is still alive. In the end, though, he will get the better of him, but took him a few more bullets than I think he would have wanted.
And now it's just down to Page as far as friendly fire is
concerned. He's got all the way up. They have no clue.
Oh,
you said Hush was looking.
He was looking in this direction.
He is 8xing the other way. Now he jumps to him too. Famas in hand. That is probably one of the better weapons you want to have up close. Fight, but caught with a nade in hand. Make that a flash as G finds the first one, and that is going to be open season. Full FaZe to now push on forward. They are getting shot from the other side, but if you're Game PT, you have to strike it.
They're trying to, but they're starting to fight back. 2 members knocked here from FaZe. Corrects the infects down, and Gustav is nowhere to be found. It's just G.
This was a flank idea that they didn't think they were going to get much of, but once that first knock came through and they thought they had the upper hand, it very quickly ended up working against them.
But go!
Where's the response? They have
2 knocks! Get in there!
2 knocks, no one up there to fortify that. Nade is going to take him down low, and I don't think James has any smokes to deploy to try and get his teammates back up, but nope, that second nade is going to do it. James down as well, as now Gustav, solo player alive. That is Game PT. Very fortunate in a situation that 1 or 2 bullets different could have gone hard against him.
And now just Gustav remains as he's not in the circle. He is going to have to make some sort of rotation. Page is going to be his biggest obstacle as he is desperately trying to find him and get rid of him so that he could just move into the circle. Going to go back to the east. There's no... Game PT is just... They're very passive.
Got it there, man. You gotta go out and want to claim it. It's gonna be brought home. Aegis, pure shots missed there. Somehow Sharp is still alive. In the end, though, he will get the better of him, but took him a few more bullets than I think he would have wanted.
And now it's just down to Page as far as friendly fire.
Oh my god, he's got all the way up. They have no clue.
Oh,
you said Hush was looking.
He was looking in this direction.
He is 8xing the other way. Now he jumps to him too. Famas in hand. That is probably one of the better weapons you want to have.
Spike bloqueou dele esses dias, já voltou pro original.
first one, and that is going to be open season.
Tava parando mesmo, mas nem essa não.
They are getting shot from the other side, but if you're Game BT, you have to strike and you have to strike now.
They're trying to, but they're starting to fight back. 2 members knocked here from FaZe. Corrects the infects down, and Gustav is nowhere to be
Ela
found. It's
costuma
just
aquela
James.
puxada e aquela puxada, né?
Idea that they didn't think they were going to get much of, but once that first knock came through and they thought they had the upper hand, it very quickly ended up working against them.
But go!
Where's the
KBT,
response? They
you
have
know
two
you have 2
knocks.
knocks! Get in there!
2 knocks, no one up there to fortify that. Nade is going to take him down low, and I don't think James has any smokes to deploy to try and get his teammates back up. But nope, that second nade is going to do it. James down as well, as now Gustav, solo player alive. That is Game PT. Very fortunate in a situation that 1 or 2 bullets different could have gone hard against him.
And now just Gustav remains, as he's not in the circle. He is going to have to make some sort of rotation. Page is going to be his biggest obstacle, as he is desperately trying to find him and get rid of him so that he could just move into the circle, Toby.
A placement point, a kill, and Gustav is looking for anything he can. I don't even think those 3 palm trees are going to be in either, so it's a difficult journey up ahead. Good thing for him is with this bullet connecting, there we go. Actually, it's Page who finds it. It's Gustav who finds it from the back, so a 2-point kill to secure top 4.
Now, what is Falcons going to do? They're sat on the backside of 4 angry men who have just been sitting on this plateau trying to rain down as much damage and dictate the circle as possible. Game PT as well.
Game PT got to live with the scam.
Não, que é bom desse experimento. Eu gosto dela. Ela. Não sei, pra mim ela não treina. Pra mim ela vai.
With a smoke in hand, smoke deployed is going to grant him the cover to allow him to use his mortar to shoot over the top.
A little short, I mean quite a bit short actually, but
I like it,
I do like the idea of him using it, but Game PT, again, just doing themselves no favors with this lack of proactivity. I mean, they're getting some points on the board now, but so many left.
This one is hard to call. Game PT has to move. They have to go down the hill. Here they go. Good thing for them is that everyone on the other side are fighting, but Gustav is still crawling around. He has snuck his way up, and I don't think Game PT knows where he is. They should know that there's a FaZe player still alive, but look where he's prone down. Maybe the guy's going to give it away, but we'll see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and Game PT down to 2 members. Falcons down to 1. 4 AM would love to recover if they can, but I believe they also will be down to 2 here.
Circle, where do we go? Gustav gets it all to himself, but he's going to run on up. He knows that Kai's going to grant him the cover that he needs. Backstep if you can. Game BT once for the 3rd time. Not looking the right direction here. Both of them focusing 4 AM. They're not expecting Gustav to be sprinting up behind them.
Now they're at least going to get rid of 4 AM. Gustav, though, making his approach, using this push. This could be the makings of an incredible play here. If he could just find 2, they're focused on Sills and Toby.
But luckily for Gustav, he doesn't peek at the right time. Does fight hell of a backside now over the tip. Does he win this one? Does he bring it home? Or does the Dane come out victorious? This would be huge for FaZe and for Game PT to bring it home with all the odds that have gone against them, with the fights they've missed, with everything that has worked the way that it has. They somehow come out victorious regardless. Everything was working against Game PT. Everybody wanted them, but they touched and somehow here they come out victorious.
And you say somehow, I have to agree. I mean, there were so many moments where I thought they would actually kind of be cause for those mistakes that they had made, but I mean, the server kind of helped them out, I guess.
That is absolutely insane. You can see Gustav there after the first knock. He thought he had it. He really wanted that win home as well. But no, I mean, I think this game was pre-written as a win for Game PT. And somehow, well, yeah, as I said, they brought it home.
Yeah, they did bring it home. I still do think they left a lot of points on the board, though, Toby, as, you know, they were able to get that win. That being said, that's game 1. Let's head to the highlights and the desk.
I don't mind if you take the win.
Ah, não, isso daí eu vi, tô bonito, eu vi do PC lá.
They gave him the victory.
Yeah, super important to have the high ground control, right? They're able to rag out a lot of damage and also maintain information about all the teams, right? So they can make some good decisions. I gotta give a little bit of a shout out.
Yeah?
Because that was a smart play. That secured them the 2nd place. It got him another point for the flush. It was a 1v1 effectively in the end, right? But Babsang head, Babsang headed.
Babsang head, Babsang headed. That means Bab shoots head, from what I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
James, Colors went ahead and did the investigations for us and found out he lived up to his namesake at the end of this match.
Fantastic.
Coming to that end right now, you're going to see it was a kind of a unique match. Came down to a 2-2-1-1 here at the end, but that's sent by GP all the way across the map to sort of get to this spot. was a smart move.
E eu ainda
and it
me
could've been a little
afetou
faster, so
bem
they chose
alguém
not
me
to.
casou.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, like I gotta say though,
I gosto
the
das
way
duas.
that how the majority of the teams were from the southwest, of course, was because GMPT they're in a position of control. They had that eastern side high ground. FaZe had to move out of the compound, and of course, in a situation like this, you have to make sure that you try to like maintain as much control. FaZe tried. James tried to get out opening. He got down Hush, but in the end, Babsanghead, he just prevailed.
He did prevail. Guys, welcome back to the Analysis Desk, brought to you by STC Play. My name is Tavis. I am joined by Avenger as we break down the after action. This is it, the last day of group stages. The rubber meets the road, last chance to dance, however you want to say it. These teams need to come out and play, and what we saw at the end of that game were a bunch of teams who needed points.
STC Player, abridor lá, não sei o que lá, patrocínio que não sei ler isso aqui, KFC, LG tá patrocinando, Doritos, até Spotify, mano, Mastercard, Adidas, Razer, ele tá com muito patrocínio, viu?
Showing up and going for it, whether it was FaZe making the most out of what they were left with, or GP making the most out of a really good spot they got.
Yeah, if they could, with this, if they start and they keep the momentum, they could qualify from the momentum of this game here. FaZe, on the other hand, with the amount of points they got, they're going to be kind of close to the cusp. They're going to be happy. They can start kind of ramping up a little bit more, and they just need a little bit of points for the rest of the game today, and they'll be fine.
Absolutely. It's going to be a long day for a couple of these teams, but not quite as long a day as it's going to be, I think, for Twisted Minds and Luminosity, who are at home right now watching each of these games.
If you think it's stressful being on the stage playing right now, the guys biting nails home and looking at the games, to see someone else decide their fate is going to be hard, right?
For the fans out there, I'm just curious. Twisted Minds, Luminosity, are either of them, do you think, shot at this? Or
as we were talking, right? There's so much bunching going on at the top, right? 53 and 51 points is Twisted Minds and Luminosity Gaming. I think Twisted Minds are out, but I think Luminosity Gaming actually have a good shot at this here. Of course, really the question here is that, but yeah, they need to step up. They need to have a big game and not just those, 4 to 6, 7 point games.
Now, you were telling me that they are grinders, that these guys are working at home. They're not someone who's sort of sitting on their laurels because the game's been out for a while and they trust their skills and just scrim. They're grinding.
Mas tem um aí que joga com o teclado todo virado, cara.
This is another team that is absolutely super good. The three-headed dog, Cerberus. It seems like it's a bit of a coin flip sometimes of who's going to be the superstar in this game. Right. But I love that about them.
O certo era usar o dedão. Ficar com a mão.
Eu uso o dedão também. Eu acho mais fácil.
Vai no M, tá ligado? Vai no espaço. Mas eu uso o indicador para baixar. Pura, né?
I love how good they've gotten.
They have gotten super good, of course. And again, at the 4th place right now, they are playing just as they want to play. They can play carelessly.
Ver como o negócio muda de pessoa para pessoa, né?
To get, first out of group stage, most kills, most damage. They want to show that they're superstars because they have really shown us the last couple of tournaments.
I will also say a team that showed us they were superstars and I think played very aggressively.
E esse aqui já com o teclado tipo meio torto, mas longeão, olha. Tudo o negócio esquisito.
I'm going to go back to FaZe for a second. We saw Gustav made the smart choice, but also the hubris, the brass to push GP that first time around on the hill. They seem like they're sort of taking no prisoners. They're willing to take risks, and that's what it takes.
And as Toby pointed out during the cast as well, like he was focused on trying to get friendly fire out there, right? Because it's a point for the kill, and it's a point for eliminating one more in the placements, right? So that's a 2-point. Not clutch, but it's a 2-point play for him. Smart play, and then to move that slowly up, to get into second place, play smart, kind of slow it, and then try to clutch it. Got one down, he was close, he had the 1-1, but Babs got it in the end.
I think that's the evolution of PUBG. I remember talking to Sexy Pig back in 2019, and he had this quote where he goes, bad brain, all finger. Because at the start of this, that was really what drove a lot of these teams. But in the current era, 2023, with the way that things have changed, this game is more cerebral, it feels like, in a lot of ways than.
Aqui já é do nível. O teclado desse cara aqui.
Just pure mechanic.
There's a lot more statistical driven decision making based on what you have done throughout the years, right? We're like, oh, 2 years ago I played this circle and this happened.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's also like you have to be competitive games, right? Because it's not always the same amount of pressure. You're gonna have way more teams alive, especially here where you have it's the last days. The vast majority of these teams are not inside top 16 right now, so they're trying to make the best of it. Here, of course, Friendly Fire, good to see these guys. They need to have a big day as well. They started the day in 24th, so they have to have a huge step up here and make something out of it. They have to have 2 big games, in my mind, in my perspective, to really have a good chance.
Regionally, they did it on the last day. Talked to them this morning, and they said they had a bit of a comms back and forth.
Esses que vendem da AliExpress, né? É tudo feito lá. Olha. Eu não podia.
I think there was a bit of a butting head. Remember,
Os caras estão fazendo bem, pelo jeito.
No iPhone. Vou comprar demais, viu? Aqui, tá ligado? Eu tenho o KZ, né, Rizona? O KZ é feito aqui. A qualidade que som que esse KZ tem, tá ligado? A coragem de comprar. Ah, chega, mano. Chegar, chega. E se não chegar, este reembolso. A AliExpress agora é grande, né? Muito grande, né? Vai demorar. Tá ligado? Estimativa de entrega, dia 10 de setembro, mano. Tá dando aqui um mês, tá ligado? Aqui tá escrito, ó. É só tomar café, mano. Não vou tomar café. Nem café começa a tossir, mano. A proteção do consumidor de 75 dias. Este dá 75 dias. Se o produto tiver estragado, bichado ou não chegar, você pede reembolso e te reembolsa. Eu não compro porque eu não tenho dinheiro. Mano. Dinheiro. Se tivesse 500 conto, tá ligado? Eu trocaria até placa de vídeo. Eu tenho outras coisas pra fazer, tá ligado? No meu PC ainda. Vou trocar placa de vídeo, trocar placa mãe. Tem muita coisa pra me fazer ainda, tá ligado? Só por causa disso, mano. Só por causa desse motivo eu não compro. PS.
Page Pixel joined that team only recently, but it does sound like they're having a little bit of a how do we call these games when things get crazy
first
issue.
time on LAN together.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And for Pixel, first time at an international LAN in general, is stepping up, and I think he's been playing really well, all things considered.
He's one of the best mechanically skilled players here as well. I gotta say, he's insane mechanically, but you have to make everything mesh together.
Yeah.
And when it's your first time in a LAN, there's a lot of pressure. You have Rob, super highly experienced, $1 million PGIS. Page, second place as well, like at our internet, like at our world event, right? So these guys have the pedigree, and they just need to show it up. And as Roth said on Twitter, last day team. That's all.
Last day team.
Now let's show that it's the last day here as well.
Last day team, but for all the fans from the Americas who may be watching, I think maybe next time around, if you make it to the next bracket, let's not just focus on being a last day team. Let's try to start strong right out of the gate.
Half the day, half the tournament for them in winners or losers is going to be half the day, right? So if you're last day team, it's fine.
It feels like the era of sort of you can phase Sunday yourself out of this has ended. These teams are just too strong from the start. And the start is upon us as we move to game number 2, heading back to the dusty dunes of upon us.
In winners or losers.
Start strong right out
the day, right? So if you're last
Discord ou naquele outro lá no TS, tá ligado? E pra isolar mais o ambiente, tá ligado? Custar menos ainda o volume de fora. Não atrapalha em nada. Vai prestar atenção pra você ver. Todos eles usam. Lá, tá vendo? Porque fone headset não tem cabo nos dois lados. Então você quer fone intra-auricular. Fone intra-auricular, ó. Intra-auricular, fone auricular. Olha o cabo do fone saindo aqui. Fone intra-auricular, o cabo aqui saindo. Microfone. E o entrante, ó. Isso. Tá vendo? Aqui dá pra você ver nítido. O cabo saindo aqui e os fones por baixo. O microfone. Não, cada um tem o seu. Para você ver. Não são todos, não. Esse aqui já nem tem marca. É? Nem tem marca isso aqui. Ó, sem marca. Já é outro, ó. Tipo. Tá vendo? Não tem específico. Não, aqui, ó. O menino colocando o fone aqui, ó. Aí vai colocar o microfone. Tá vendo? Literalmente é esse aqui. Usa o intra-auricular.
It's the last days. The vast majority of these teams are not inside top 16 right now, so they're here where you have because it's not always the same amount of pressure. You're going to have way more teams alive, especially here where you have it's the last days. The vast majority of these teams are not inside top 16 right now, so they're trying to make the best of it. It's the last. It's not all but the years, right? We're like, oh, 2 years ago, I played this circle and this happened.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's also like, you have to be competitive games, right? Because it's not always the same amount of pressure. You're going to have way more teams alive. Especially here where you have, it's the last days. The vast majority of these teams are not inside top 16.
Dele KZzinho, ó. Ele coloca ali.
Alive. Especially here where you have, it's the last days. The vast majority of these teams are not inside top 16.
CSN10 Pro. O jogo, né? Rola ainda.
16 right now, so they're trying to make the best of it. Here, of course, Friendly Fire, good to see these guys. Really.
They said they only
That's
easy
first.
issue.
So, I gotta say, anyway, it's your first GIS.
From the
tournament.
Yeah. As we move to the game casting duo, it's
But gentlemen, yes, this is actually the map, but we have so much to look for.
Mr. Cleanup Duty.
Gostei.
Yeah. Because we were kind of looking through all the things that could have gone wrong that didn't during that last fight, and Hush didn't read Face coming up the hill. Then you have Hella not reading Kapitan coming up the hill, and then the last fight is also Babs, I think, that turns around and goes for the third time. He's not holding our backs here. What's going on? So kudos to Babs Head for bringing what was a very chaotic game to a win. And honestly, you know what? In all fairness, we've seen teams that had everything on, like the flips.
$40 no AliExpress, né? 40, 160. Nem tem o 10 mais, hein? A minha é mais cara que o outro ainda. Mais cara que o outro. É esse aqui. Tá com 56% de desconto, mano. R$ 343. Acho que é 8 horas, né?
Mas valeu, gurizada. Vou dormir pra mim, só quando eu ver o campo. Ela tá começando? Então vou dormir até as 8. Valeu, tamo junto aí. Tá dormindo até as 8.
O azul, ó. A borracha é preta. O negócio aqui, porque eu tô com um PC na placa de captura. Então tá no outro PC, eu não consigo atravessar a tela pro outro, tá ligado? Aqui no secundário, nossa. Caramba.
Side of it, everything working out for them, written in the stars, it was bound to be their win, where they come up short. This was the other way around. Everything in that endgame, whether it be their own fault.
Se for comprar, mano, tipo, se você não quiser esperar, tem no Mercado Livre também, tá ligado? No Mercado Livre ele é. Se eu pagar, pô, mano, que eu paguei 300 pila, não me arrependo, tá ligado? Esse aqui é um acima do meu, ó. Edição limitada, velho. Se eu comprar ele hoje, chega amanhã. Cara, hein? Sim.
Paz. E aí? Paz. E aí?
O fone dele lá de 300 pila, não conseguiu usar. É pro outro. Casei. Já chega nesse. Vendo, velho. Aqui. Aqui, tá ligado? Geral do meu Discord aqui, ó. Geral.
Was working against them and they still they continue to change that calculation. Great. Now this happened. Now what do we need? And even though players always say, oh no, we're just, you know, like we don't look at the leaderboards and stuff, they do, and they care. And Anonix, well, he's got a 2x UMP and he's running straight up to an M16. Two guns I wouldn't expect to see fight each other, but let's see who comes out victorious.
And I think he has a 3x on that UMP as well as
Who hears who
EJ.
first?
Just iron sights, okay.
Who
But
hears who first?
I don't know. Let's be quiet, man.
Anonix is
delay.
I think he heard something.
Yeah, I think you might have heard EJ now pressing towards the
É
other side.
bom.
This is that compound that
Tem
we were
que
talking
reclamar não.
about. This
Chegou.
is such a good position to have early.
Also super smart that Anonix does not come up with a vehicle, but that they're running up. They know there's going to be people here.
Yes.
The only thing is now they hear a vehicle, they saw someone run before, great, now there are two. And believe you me, the longer you wait down around, the more Gen G players are going to be arriving in this location.
But look at Soul. He's trying to wrap around as wide as he can to the west side and potentially get an angle here. And that's the thing. With that vehicle pulling up, Inonix has no idea if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 members on this. So they are being very patient. And Soul being able to scout there. He has the MK12.
I think you might have seen EJ just jumping, but again, they're not looking to aggress right now. They're not looking to kind of spring the trap. They want to get as much info as they can as fast as possible. Here comes Loki and Salute. That is the bait. That's them saying, okay, you know what? We have 2 players posted up on the west side. Let's bait you over towards the east so that you have your back. So you can see as soon as that car came up, Soul looked back up over. Inonix is now creeping forward as well. This is very smart, very patient play coming through from Danawa. And good thing for them is Gen G are not grouped up yet, but they've heard the car. Now they've heard the flash in the footsteps. DJ is coming up here, and I would believe that PO should be